On to college hoops. We need a word better than dominant to describe the UConn women's basketball team. They are so supreme, so elite that their only competition this season has been past UConn squads. UConn has not lost a game since 2014. On Tuesday, they reached their 90th consecutive win, matching an NCAA record held by UConn. And they'll look to break that mark on Saturday. All right, on to Dallas. Of course, it is all about Ezekiel Elliott. Is it fair to say that if Zeke has a big game, it's a win for them?
That's hard to say. You know what? I mean, I just even thinking about
putting you on the spot. Who wins the game?
Who wins the game? Well,
that's the tough questions. Earlier this week, the Houston police said Tom Brady's stolen Super Bowl jersey was worth about $500,000. And maybe the cops aren't finding it fast enough because Brady put together his own very entertaining suspect board. Detective Tom lists Julian Edelman, Gollum, and even Lady Gaga as suspects in the case of the missing jersey. But most notably, Roger Goodell is not a person of interest, this time around at least. That's it for this edition of Geico Sports Night. Stay tuned for a fresh edition of the show, including more NBA trade talk. The 49ers have officially hired Falcons offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan. San Francisco already had their hearts set on Shanahan, but of course had to wait until after the Super Bowl to make it official. You know, the Super Bowl where the Falcons abandoned the run, only running the ball 5 times after they went up 28-3. And we all know what happened next. That's it for this edition of Geico Sports Night. Stay tuned for an update on the Melo trade and more from Mets spring training. The day. And one quick note before we go. Remember back in July when Brandon Marshall was extremely optimistic about the Jets? So optimistic, in fact, that he bet his Porsche against Antonio Brown's Rolls Royce, saying whoever had the most receiving yards would walk away with both cars. Well, even if AB has 0 yards this week, Brandon Marshall would have to get 497. AB declared victory, but he was a great sport about it, suggesting that the car be donated to Brandon Marshall's charitable foundation. Must be nice. That's it for us on Geico Sports Night. Stay tuned for hockey highlights and an update on. Welcome into Football Night in New York, here with Chris Lopresti, Mark Malusis, and Sal Licata. You guys heard the Giants D talking Aaron Rodgers. How do you contain the 2-time NFL MVP? That's what they have to do, but the offense also has a task trying to get going, get the ball to somebody other than Odell Beckham Jr. And how do they do that? Who has the most pressure, Giants defense or Giants offense?
Definitely the Giants defense. You just touched on it, containing the 2-time MVP. That is
against the Packers. And with that, we have to bring in the Football Night in New York crew, Ralph Vecchiano, Mark Malusis, Sal Licata. For starters, why aren't we in Miami? Why are we here in cold New York?
You don't like New York?
Yeah, I say we do Football Night in New York in Miami.
We didn't get that
next time.
with Bieber.
Yes,
Taylor, this is the home of New York sports.
Okay, you're right. But I wouldn't mind Miami. But, you know, back to the receivers. There's obviously 2 very different opinions on this. Some people say, you know what, let them have fun. They were off. They can go party in Miami if they want. Some say you have a big game coming up. Why are you in Miami? Where do you fall on this?
Well, I don't think it's that big of a deal because it was their day off, and we forget sometimes that professional athletes have lives. What I do think it was something that looks bad, that they probably shouldn't have done, knowing that if a picture came out, and a picture always comes out, fans, some in the media, were going to overreact because people want.
Welcome back into Daily News Live. On this Monday, we take a look at Gang Green and their continued struggles on the gridiron. Upon further review, quarterback issues, the Jets may dress 3 quarterbacks, a struggling offense, no secondary, a defense that knows how to make any opposing quarterback look like a Hall of Famer. Is there anything not disappointing about the New York Jets and this hack news?
Yeah, Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams is a bright spot as if you're looking to the future.
Uniforms, too. Wouldn't you say?
Well, you know.
Old school.
Yeah, that's a positive thing.
Fair.
Upon further review, social media is almost never your friend. Sheldon Richardson proved that with a profanity-laced video posted to Rontez Miles' Snapchat story, adding to his off-the-field issues. And you know they say to never let your problems be bigger than your talent. So what could the Jets realistically get for him on the trade market?
It doesn't matter at this point. You just have to get him off this football team. I know there have been rumors about them.
Welcome back into Daily News Live. We are joined now by Pat Leonard, our Giants insider, who's fighting through the cold weather out in Philadelphia as the Giants prepare to face the Eagles. Now, of course, the Giants defeated the Eagles in their first meeting this season, but both teams have evolved since that time. So, Pat, what's the biggest difference in the Giants team that we're going to see tonight? Well, straight to the point. Welcome back into Daily News Live. Upon further review, Sheldon Richardson and Brandon Marshall really coming to the defense of Todd Bowles there. Now, Bowles inherited a 4-12 team, made them 10-6 and very close to a playoff, but now he only has 4 wins. So who's at fault for this season, Sal?
I think it's everybody. You can't, when a season goes this bad in...
Yeah, it just seems like it was very ill-timed. This is a results-driven league, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is mad that he got benched when he wasn't playing well. It just seems like the wording was wrong.
Well, listen, that's all well and good, but, I mean, we've talked about it time and time again. The Jets do nothing particularly well. Right. I mean, so, I mean, it's not exactly all right.
They throw interceptions very well.
They've been outcoached. They've been outplayed at both the defensive line, offensive line. They've been...
One note before we go, Bo Jackson is known by many as one of the greatest athletes ever. He's a Heisman winner and the only athlete to be named an All-Star in both football and baseball. But on Thursday, Bo Jackson revealed an interesting hindsight, saying he would have never played football if he knew about all the injuries and risks that it presented. Even said he would never let his children play the game. But the man whose accomplishments seem more like magic said he has no regrets. And that's it for this edition of Geico Sports Nights. Enjoy your weekend. Back to football. It seems like Odell Beckham Jr. can do it all. One-handed catches, record-breaking seasons, and even boat parties in Miami. Well, now he can add Lyft driver to his resume. The star receiver went undercover to drive fans around New York City, and the results were pretty comical. Take a look.
Hi.
How's it going?
How are you?
What was your name?
Tom Coughlin is back and bigger than ever down in Jacksonville. Jaguars owner Shad Khan gave Coughlin full reign over the football operations. Coughlin has final say on free agency, the draft, and the final roster. He's even screening assistant coaches. Reports say he wouldn't allow Doug Marrone to hire Johnny Henderson because they got in an altercation back in 2005. So yes, Tom Coughlin is still Tom Coughlin. Here's more from his introductory press conference. On the football field, the Giants are less than 48 hours away from their wild card matchup against the Packers. Hopefully enough time for playoff Eli to come to form. The Giants QB has a postseason passer rating of 89.3, a number that ranks 12th all time. He'll be looking to get his 3rd playoff win at Lambeau Field. Here's Ben McAdoo on Big Blue's preparation for the big game. Now, Frank, Melo won a championship, that's no secret, but he's also expressed his want to stay in New York. Is going to the Cavs something that he would deem worthy of waiving that no-trade clause?
Well, I think playing with his friend LeBron and getting a chance.
Ralph, there's kind of a bit of confusion right now as to what's factual, what happened, what both sides are saying. So what exactly do we know?
Well, right now, all we know is what's been in the criminal complaint.
Now, of course, as these things go, what happens off the field has a way of affecting you on the field. And there's a report that these legal happenings could potentially void his contract. So what would have to take place for that to happen?
Well, a lot, and it's not very likely.
And one note before we go, coming off a heroic performance against the Bucks, the Knicks' Ron Baker took the court once again on Saturday against the Pacers. While many fans are calling for him to be in the regular rotation, it's worth telling his story. Baker was a walk-on at Wichita State, then became an All-American. He went undrafted in 2016 before earning a roster spot after Summer League. Now he's known as a guy who doesn't quit, a guy who gets fourth quarter minutes and doesn't back down from the big moment. And one note before we go, you saw Latrell Sprewell sitting courtside at Madison Square Garden on Sunday, but pretty soon he'll be suiting up. Sprewell is the latest player to commit to the Big Three, a 3-on-3 basketball league made for former basketball stars. He'll join Allen Iverson, Jason Williams, and Steven Jackson, to name a few, and I'm sure it will be as outrageous as it sounds. That's it for this edition of Geico Sports Night. Stay tuned for more on Mets spring training and an update on the Giants. The number 100 is often synonymous with the highest you can reach, 100%, 100 yards, 100 points. So reaching 100 wins is another level, and UConn has done just that. On Monday, their win streak reached 100 after taking down South Carolina. UConn reached the pinnacle by way of domination. 98 of their 100 wins have come by double digits. So let's take you to the latest. UConn